Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I want to talk about something that touches each and every one of us: balance and fulfillment in life. In a world that's constantly moving, where our to-do lists grow faster than we can complete them, and success often feels like a race, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. We chase achievements, social validation, and material comforts, but still feel exhausted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from our own lives. But what if I told you that fulfillment doesn't require perfection, and balance doesn't mean doing everything all at once? It's about creating intentional space for what matters most. Let's dive into the 8 powerful ways to create balance and fulfillment in life. We live in a world overflowing with opinions, social standards, and cultural definitions of success and happiness. From the time we're children, we're subtly and sometimes overtly told what our lives should look like, what job to pursue, how much money to make, what kind of house to live in, even what relationships to prioritize. But here's the truth: none of that leads to fulfillment unless it aligns with your personal truth. Fulfillment isn't something you stumble upon accidentally. It's something you must define deliberately. If you don't take time to understand what truly brings you meaning, you'll keep chasing things that look good on the outside but leave you feeling hollow inside. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 people. One works a high-paying job in a tall office building, drives a luxury car, and vacations in 5-star resorts. The other lives in a small town, teaches children how to read, grows vegetables in their garden, and ends each day sharing stories with their family over dinner. Now ask, who is more fulfilled? You can't tell, because fulfillment is subjective. It doesn't follow a universal formula. It's not about what you have. It's about how your life feels on the inside, not how it looks on the outside. To define what fulfillment means to you, start by asking yourself honest, often uncomfortable questions. What activities make me lose track of time? What values do I care about most deeply? Freedom, service, love, growth, peace. When do I feel most alive, most connected, most real? If no one were watching me, if there were no applause, what would I spend my life doing? Sometimes the answers surprise you. They often reveal that what fulfills us isn't always glamorous or socially approved. For some, it's creating music that no one else hears. For others, it's spending time with animals, mentoring teenagers, building something with their hands, or simply walking in nature without a goal. When you define your own version of fulfillment, something amazing happens. You stop measuring your worth against other people's timelines. You stop needing to prove anything, and you begin to feel the power of living authentically. It's easy to be pulled in every direction if you haven't chosen one. But when you take ownership of your definition of fulfillment, you reclaim the steering wheel of your life. Your energy, your time, your passion, all begin flowing toward what actually matters to you. And once you know what matters, you can begin to shape your life around it. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Because clarity is the first step to building a life that feels whole. In the pursuit of a balanced and fulfilling life, one of the most overlooked but crucial practices is learning to set boundaries. And not just any boundaries. Boundaries that protect your energy, time, values, and emotional well-being. Let me ask you this. How often have you said yes to something when your heart was screaming no? How many times have you overcommitted, stretched yourself thin, or stayed in draining situations simply because you didn't want to disappoint someone? We've been conditioned to believe that being a good person means being endlessly available, agreeable, and accommodating. But people-pleasing is not kindness if it comes at the cost of your own peace. In fact, constantly saying yes to everything and everyone eventually leads to burnout, resentment, and a sense of losing control over your own life. Let's be clear, your energy is limited. Just like money in a bank account, you only have so much to give each day. Every meeting, every conversation, every favor, every scroll on your phone costs you something. And if you're constantly giving without replenishing, you'll end up emotionally bankrupt. That's where boundaries come in. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They let in what nourishes you and keep out what drains you. Setting boundaries might mean turning off your phone after a certain hour so you can rest, saying no to projects that don't align with your goals or values, refusing to entertain toxic conversations or negativity, protecting time for yourself without guilt. It can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to putting others first. You might fear being judged, rejected, or misunderstood. But here's the truth. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries are the ones who will resist them the most. And that's okay. You're not responsible for managing everyone's expectations. You're responsible for honoring your well-being. And when you do, something powerful happens. Your relationships get healthier, your confidence grows, and your life begins to reflect what you actually want, not just what others expect of you. Boundaries also help you protect your creative energy, your dreams, your focus. When you learn to say no to distractions, you say yes to purpose. You create space to work on the things that bring you joy, meaning, and growth. Most importantly, setting boundaries teaches others how to treat you. If you don't respect your time, why would anyone else? If you don't value your peace, why should anyone protect it? Remember this. Every yes is a no to something else. So choose wisely. Set boundaries not because you're selfish, but because you're finally choosing to live with intention, clarity, and respect for your own life. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, exhaustion has become a badge of honor. We celebrate being busy. We glorify hustle. We chase productivity like it's the only path to success. But here's the truth. You are not a machine. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot sustain a fulfilling life if you are constantly running on fumes. That's why creating rituals of daily renewal is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. What do we mean by rituals of renewal? These are the small, consistent habits that help you reconnect with yourself. They are intentional pauses, moments of stillness, reflection, nourishment, and peace that restore your physical, emotional, and mental energy. Think of them as anchors in your day-protective spaces that bring you back to center when life tries to pull you in 1,000 directions. These rituals don't have to be dramatic or time-consuming. In fact, the simpler they are, the more sustainable they become. Some examples might include a quiet morning routine before the world demands your attention. Maybe it's journaling, prayer, stretching, or simply sipping tea in silence. 5 minutes of mindful breathing in between tasks to reset your nervous system. A walk in nature where you leave your phone behind and just listen to the wind, the birds, your own breath. Reading something inspirational that nourishes your soul instead of scrolling endlessly through social media. An evening wind-down ritual where you reflect on your day, practice gratitude, and disconnect from screens. The goal isn't to add more pressure to your day. The goal is to infuse your life with moments of presence. To pause, to breathe, to remember who you are beneath the noise, because here's what often happens. We wait until we're completely burned out to care for ourselves. We wait until the stress shows up as anxiety, fatigue, illness, or emotional outbursts. But real fulfillment comes from preventative care, tending to your needs before they scream for attention. These daily rituals act like a safety net. They ground you, they regulate your emotions, they help you respond to life rather than react. And most importantly, they remind you that you matter, not just for what you do, but for who you are. And as these practices become a part of your daily rhythm, something magical begins to happen. You stop living in a constant state of survival. You become more present in your relationships, more clear in your goals, more connected to your purpose. You begin to feel full, not just busy. So don't underestimate the power of a few minutes each day. Over time, those minutes become the foundation of a well-balanced, deeply fulfilling life. No matter how strong, driven, or independent we are, the truth remains, we are wired for connection. At the core of a balanced and fulfilling life lies the quality of our relationships. Not the quantity, not the appearances, but the genuine human connections that uplift us, nourish our soul, and help us become better versions of ourselves. The people you surround yourself with shape your energy, your mindset, and even your future. When you consistently spend time with people who inspire, support, and challenge you in healthy ways, you grow, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. But when you remain entangled with those who criticize, manipulate, or drain your spirit, your progress stalls and your sense of self slowly fades. This is why relationship inventory is essential. Ask yourself, who do I feel safe around? Who truly listens without judgment? Who celebrates my wins without envy and stands by me in my lowest moments? Who pushes me toward growth, not because they expect more from me, but because they believe in me? These are the people you need more of in your life. The uplifters, the truth tellers, the silent supporters who remind you of your worth even when you forget it yourself. Prioritizing these relationships doesn't just mean giving them your time. It means giving them your presence, your attention, and your vulnerability. It means making time for phone calls, check-ins, meals shared without screens, and conversations that go deeper than small talk. It means investing in the relationships that make life feel rich and meaningful. But equally important is learning to release relationships that no longer serve your growth. This can be incredibly difficult, especially if those relationships are long-standing or tied to family, history, or guilt. But just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they're meant to be in your future. Fulfillment requires you to choose peace over obligation and alignment over attachment. Remember, you teach others how to treat you not just by what you allow, but by what you nurture. When you consistently give energy to people who don't uplift you, you're sending yourself a message: my needs don't matter, but they do. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see your light and never try to dim it. People who clap for you when you win and hold you when you lose. People who challenge your excuses and cheer for your dreams. People who don't just like the version of you that's convenient, but love the version of you that's real. So, take a deep look at your circle. Are they feeding your soul or starving your spirit? Are you growing together or just staying comfortable in familiarity? You are not obligated to stay in spaces where you're shrinking just to fit. Prioritize the relationships that reflect your worth, your truth, and your growth. Because when you build your life around the right people, balance becomes easier and fulfillment becomes inevitable. One of the greatest sources of imbalance and emptiness in life comes from this common experience: spending your days doing something that doesn't align with who you are. We spend a significant portion of our lives working. In fact, for many people, it's the biggest time commitment they have, often more than time spent with family, pursuing passions, or even sleeping. So it's no surprise that when your work feels meaningless, disconnected, or just like a paycheck, it affects everything else: your motivation, your mood, your health, and even your sense of identity. That's why aligning your work with your purpose is essential for true fulfillment. Now, let's clear up a common myth. Aligning work with purpose does not mean everyone needs to quit their job and become a motivational speaker, artist, or humanitarian. It doesn't always mean chasing your dream job or turning your passion into a career. Instead, it means finding or creating meaning in what you do, and doing it in a way that reflects your values, your strengths, and your sense of contribution. Ask yourself, what parts of my work make me feel proud? Does this job allow me to use my strengths or express my creativity? Do I feel that my efforts have an impact on others, on myself, or on something greater? If not, what small changes could I make to bring more purpose into my role? You see, purpose doesn't have to come from your job title. It can come from how you show up in your work. A janitor who brings joy to the building with a smile and kind words has aligned with purpose. A software developer who mentors interns with care and patience has aligned with purpose. A customer service rep who listens compassionately to someone's frustration and makes them feel heard. That's purpose too. Purpose is about connection between your daily actions and the bigger picture of who you want to be and how you want to serve the world. But if your current work feels completely disconnected from your values or leaves you feeling empty, it's okay to seek change. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is admit that your current path no longer reflects who you are, and then take small steps towards something that does. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means being intentional. You might explore new projects, pursue a side passion, go back to school, or simply carve out time for meaningful volunteer work while you plan your transition. Every step matters when it's guided by purpose. Also remember, sometimes purpose evolves. What fulfilled you 5 years ago may not fulfill you now. And that's okay. We are allowed to grow. We are supposed to grow. Don't cling to old definitions of success if they no longer feed your soul. When your work and your purpose are in harmony, even challenges become more manageable. You feel energized instead of drained. You find motivation not in external rewards, but in the internal sense of meaning you carry with you. And that is the heartbeat of fulfillment, knowing that what you do matters because it reflects who you are. We live in an age of overwhelming abundance, an overflow of choices, commitments, distractions, and noise. We're told to do more, be more, have more. Our schedules are packed, our homes cluttered, our minds overloaded, and yet we often feel more lost, more anxious, and more disconnected than ever. The truth is, complexity doesn't always equal progress. In fact, the more we accumulate, physically, mentally, emotionally, the more we risk losing sight of what truly matters. That's where this principle comes in. Simplify to amplify. What does that mean? It means removing the unnecessary to make space for the meaningful. It means stripping away the excess, so your life can reflect your values with greater clarity and power. Let's start with your physical environment. Clutter in your space often mirrors clutter in your mind. When your home, workspace, or surroundings are filled with things that no longer serve you, your energy becomes scattered. Decluttering is not just about cleaning up. It's about creating mental clarity and a feeling of calm. A clean, intentional space helps you think clearer, focus better, and feel more at peace. Now look at your schedule. Are you constantly rushing from task to task, saying yes to everything, stretching yourself too thin? Busyness is not the same as productivity. Activity is not the same as achievement. When you simplify your calendar, when you learn to say no to what doesn't align, you make room for what truly deserves your time. Deep work, meaningful relationships, rest, and renewal. Let's also talk about your mental space. How much of your energy is spent worrying about things that haven't happened, comparing yourself to others online, replaying conversations, or overthinking decisions? Simplifying your mind might mean limiting your time on social media, practicing mindfulness, or giving yourself permission to not think about everything all at once. Clarity is born from stillness, not chaos. You can simplify your goals too. Many people try to chase 10 goals at once and end up achieving none. When you narrow your focus to one or two deeply meaningful pursuits, you amplify your results, you gain momentum, you build confidence, and you start seeing real progress, because your energy isn't divided. Even emotionally, simplification can be powerful. Let go of relationships that are built on obligation, not mutual respect. Release old grudges. Stop over-explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds. Protect your peace by keeping your circle and your emotional investments clean and intentional. Here's the bottom line. Simplicity is not deprivation. It's liberation. It's not about having less. It's about having only what matters. It's about doing less of what drains you and more of what fulfills you. And in that space, in that clarity, in that quiet, your most powerful, balanced, and fulfilled self can finally emerge. Because the less noise you allow in, the louder your truth becomes. In today's world, we are constantly under pressure to be more productive, more polished, more perfect. We're surrounded by curated social media feeds, highlight reels, and endless comparisons. The pursuit of perfection has become a silent thief. It steals our joy, our peace, our spontaneity, and ultimately, our fulfillment. But here's the truth. Perfection is an illusion. Presence is real. When we constantly strive to make every moment flawless, we rob ourselves of the chance to simply experience it. We become so busy correcting, editing, refining, and controlling that we forget to live. We miss out on the beauty of now, always chasing a future version of success or happiness that keeps moving just out of reach. But fulfillment doesn't live in perfection. It lives in presence. It's found in the way you feel your morning coffee warming your hands, in the way you listen fully when someone you love is speaking, in the way you breathe deeply when watching the sunset or hearing your child laugh, in the way you show up not as a perfect person, but as a whole one, imperfect, real, alive. Presence means being here now, instead of living in the past or worrying about the future. It means giving your full attention to the moment in front of you, without judgment. It means accepting yourself and your life as it is, while still being open to growth. Practicing presence shifts your entire experience of life. Suddenly, a walk becomes a meditation, a conversation becomes connection, a mistake becomes a lesson, not a source of shame, and even routine moments become sacred. Let's be honest, perfectionism doesn't lead to excellence. It leads to paralysis. You second, guess every move, hesitate to start, or beat yourself up for not measuring up. But presence leads to progress, peace, and power. It allows you to act, create, feel, and evolve freely, without the weight of needing to get it right all the time. To cultivate presence, practice small acts. Put your phone away during meals. Take a few deep breaths.